Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Ken for Friday, August 3rd, 2018. We talk about sports, nothing but sports, no exceptions. Good news from the Indianapolis Colts yesterday. Clayton Geathers and Malik Hooker activated from the PUP list.
Hi, I'm here with Kent Sterling on Boomer TV. Kent, good to have you with us.
Thanks for dropping by.
Well, I tell you what, we're so excited to have you. You have such an amazing story from where you came to where you are now. Share with our viewers a little bit about how all this started back in the day.
I was in radio management, communications management, and cycled out of it and decided to do what I'd always wanted to do, and that's provide kind of broadcasting or media content. And so I decided, you know what, I'm not going to manage anymore, because in the media business, that's become nothing more than finding efficiencies. And that means firing people, and that's an unpleasant way to live. And I would rather go ahead and provide the content myself than manage content that eventually I'm going to have to dismiss.
And so, like most of the people that are watching our show today, you found yourself, 20 years at a certain job.
Yep.
Time for a transition. You probably said to yourself, my gosh, I need to maybe follow my passion and do what I want. How did you have the guts to do that, or the vision to do that, or what moved you? How did you make that decision to say, I'm going to go out and do what I know I should be doing?
I think it's more about necessity. You know, you decide. When I was, and I wound up being one of those guys who was cycled out. My boss passed away from lung cancer, Tom Severino, great dude, and he passed away. A new manager came in. He wanted to bring in his own guys. Nobody got fired because they had screwed something up. It just wasn't a fit anymore.
Sure.
And so I was driving home, going to tell my wife that I had been cycled out. And I talked to a friend, and that friend said, look, you don't need a job to have a job. Go to work doing stuff right now. This is what you were supposed to do in the first place. So take this as an opportunity, not as a death sentence for your managerial career, but a birth into something different. And so that's what I did that day. Launched a website, started churning content, and turned that into audio and then video, and went on TV. I wasn't very good at it. And so started doing videos myself, because I don't get better at stuff without doing it a lot.
Sure.
And so that's how Breakfast with Kent came about, and through Breakfast with Kent came the radio show. And yeah, nothing but fun.
Well, I'm a big fan of Breakfast with Kent. I always like to put it on as I'm driving into my office at 8 in the morning, and it's nice. Boy, that Facebook Live is a really useful tool in promoting what you're doing at 14:30 a.m. and your radio show from 3 to 6 p.m. Boy, you got Breakfast with Kent, and you got a radio show. I know you do a little TV. Talk to me a little bit about the personalities that you deal with, the generational shifts. You used to be a younger guy, and now you interview younger guys, mostly younger guys who are millionaires. What's their perspective, and what have you seen in the transition of maybe the millennial generation or whatever it might be? Has it shifted? Is it different? What's your commentary on your subject matter?
I think that it's become more valuable for a guy like Kevin Pritchard or Chris Ballard to go and identify personality types. If you go out and find guys who aren't divas, if you go out and find those guys who are willing to subvert their selfish needs for the collective good, you're going to be able to build a culture that's going to be different. And that's, it's about points of differentiation, right? Whether it's physical or psychological. These guys, I think, have figured out a way to do that at a really high level. And I notice very little difference in the athletes of today and the athletes of 20 years ago, or just adults who've dealt with adversity.
Yes.
And they learn from the adversity. I think that's how, to me, character develops. And there are very few areas where adversity is more necessary than in sports and more present. These guys get cut all the time. They're signed to the practice squad. They didn't get drafted where they wanted to. They don't get the ball as much as they'd want to. They've got injury issues to deal with, and so they've got to go through rehab. There's adversity ever present in their lives. And because of that, I think they develop a maturity that is interesting for me to access. And so whether it's talking to management or talking to athletes, that's kind of the story I try to tell, and the way I try to come at these guys as that's kind of our common thread. I'm not a great athlete, but I've dealt with adversity. And I think that that's what we all need to do as we pivot in our lives.
Well, I think it's interesting you say that our management looks for people who are non-divas. I want to certainly tell our audience, Ken Sterling, you're a non-diva. You're the hardest working man in radio and television that I know, and I want to thank you for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure.
This is Glenn Bill for Boomer TV.